Beadlocks are heavy, they're expensive, and they're not even legal to run on the road. So why would anybody want to run a beadlock wheel? Well, let's find out. Well, here's the problem. Beadlock wheels, they're heavy, they're expensive, they have the potential to come apart on you, and you don't even need a beadlock wheel. Now that's for most of us that are running our vehicles on the road, whether it's a daily driver or a weekend warrior. We might as well just get rid of the idea of running a beadlock wheel. A couple of different reasons why. The reason being is because there are better alternatives that have bead retention systems that are DOT approved. Like this Method 700 series. This particular one has the technology of bead grip. There's little ridges that go across the bead seat that hold that bead onto the wheel. And this bead grip technology system is rated at 15% more strength of keeping that bead seat on the wheel compared to just a conventional wheel without the bead grip technology. Now the trick is there to not air down too much. A lot of people worry about, well, I don't want the bead coming off the bead seat and then I have a flat tire, I have to repair it on the trail or whatever the situation may be. Well, that comes from learning what to air down to and not go too far past that threshold. And that's going to take a couple different times, a couple different air pressures to really get the feel for what is too low or what's not enough for airing down out on the trail. A good rule of thumb to start with is about 20 pounds per square inch of pressure in your tires. Start there. And if that seems like a good PSI to go down to, where it's not too flat, but it's not too much air in the tire, where it's just enough that you see the sidewalls of the tire start to bulge just a little bit and you're getting a nice footprint out in the trail, well, start there and you can always go down. What you don't want to do is go too low with your air pressure and then all of a sudden you're bringing out the air compressor, or if you don't have one, then it's another situation you don't want to run into and it becomes too much of a hassle, right? So what we want to do is just find that perfect PSI that's not too low where your bead is going to come off the wheel regardless if you have some sort of bead retention system or not. And if you do have something like the Method 700 series with the bead grip technology, well, that's a whole nother safety threshold and security that you have with keeping that bead seated on the wheel. That means they are DOT approved because there isn't any hardware to fail on you. That's the biggest reason why a regular conventional beadlock wheel is not DOT approved, because what happens when the bolts break? Not saying that's going to happen, but let's say there's an accident and the bolts do break. If you run into another vehicle or vehicle runs into you, there's a potential that this bead could come off the wheel. If the DOT or whoever does the investigations finds out that you're running a beadlock wheel, then it's big trouble for you and you don't want that. And the reason I bring this up is because we get so many questions from a lot of you guys asking, what beadlock wheel can I run on the road? And the truth is, none of them, and you don't want to. They're not DOT approved. You don't even have to worry about looking for beadlock wheels if you plan on doing any driving on the road at all. The other brand that we have been talking about a little bit here in the past is the Icon Alloys Rebound Pro, which is this one right here. Now, Icon Alloys uses hardware as a bead retention system. It's called the Inner Beadlock System by Icon Alloys. And basically all it is about 16 different pins that bolt into the outer portion of the wheel, and the pins are chamfered on the backside, are smooth, so they're not going to cause any damage to the tire bead itself. And these pins go up at a slight angle and go right behind where the tire bead sits on the bead seat, keeping that bead seat from wanting to shift backwards and off the bead seat itself, causing a flat tire or all your air coming out of the tire. Now, the interlock system by Icon Alloys is a little bit more forgiving than even the bead grip system by Method, but both of them are extremely exceptional wheels for being able to run on the road, because both of these are DOT compliant, so you don't have to worry about any type of situation where you're on the road and a beadlock conventional beadlock ring breaks off or anything like that, or even if there is some sort of vehicle accident or one of those situations where you could run into some legality issues running a beadlock wheel on the road. You're not going to have that with the Method 700 series bead grip or the Icon Alloys interlock system. And then, so what are some of the other disadvantages with running a beadlock wheel? Well, like I mentioned earlier, they're expensive, and we'll get to that in a minute. But they're also very heavy. So when you look at the disadvantages with a more heavy wheel, you start to get into things like unsprung weight with your suspension. It's going to affect the dynamics of your suspension and how it reacts when it's on the road. You want a little bit of a lighter setup so that your suspension can rebound up and come down much faster. With a heavier wheel, it's not going to be able to do that. The other thing with having a heavier setup on your rig is that you're going to get worse fuel mileage. Anytime you go to add more weight onto your vehicle, regardless if it's the wheels, the tires, any accessories, or any of those sort of things, it's gonna bog down the engine just a little bit more every time you add something heavier. Now, is it gonna make a major difference? Probably not, but is it gonna make a difference? Yes. And as off-roaders, we don't really typically follow our fuel mileage of our vehicles that closely until gas prices are like they are now. Super expensive. So anytime we can reduce the weight of our vehicles or reduce the weight of the accessories or wheels or anything that we're putting on to our vehicles, it's only going to help increase our fuel mileage, even if it's just a little bit. That's going to add up over time, saving us money. Beadlocks, for example, this is the Raceline Monster 232. This particular wheel is about double for a set of 4 when compared to either the Method or the Icon alloys. The Icon alloys Rebound Pro, you're looking at about that $1,400 or so, and actually right now they are on sale. So you are getting just a little bit of a discount compared to what they're normally priced at. Give you an example, the Method race wheels, the 701 right here for a set of 4 is running just under $1,400. So just a little bit less than the Icon alloys. But when you compare it to like this Raceline beadlock, or most beadlocks in general are gonna run between that $2,600 and $3,200 ish, depending on the beadlock. Obviously there's forged. Steel beadlocks are gonna be a heck of a lot less. In fact, you can get into a set of steel beadlocks for under $2,000. But when you look at an aluminum alloy beadlock, it's at least double of what the Method 700 series with the bead grip is, or even the Icon alloys Rebound Pro with the interlock system. So you're not only saving weight, you're saving fuel mileage, you're saving money on the overall set. So all around, it really is a much better deal to run some sort of bead retention system on your vehicle with your wheels compared to an actual beadlock. That's why in the beginning of the video, I said, you don't need beadlocks. But if it is a dedicated trail rig, it's a race truck of some sort, it's maybe a machine, I don't know why I said that. Maybe it's a rig that you're gonna be running through the mud and you really don't want that mud to cake in between the bead seat and the rim of the wheel itself. Maybe a beadlock is the way to go there. But for the rest of us, honestly, don't even bother with beadlocks, especially if you're gonna be running your vehicle on the road, because this Method 701 with the bead grip series is an awesome way to go, and you're not gonna have any troubles with your bead coming off the wheel unless you're aired down too far. And again, like I said earlier, it's really gonna be situational compared to your own particular circumstances, your own particular vehicle, and how much you wanna air down to, that it's not too far, that your bead of your tire comes off the bead seat, but not too much that you don't gain any additional traction performance while out on the trails. And the same with the interlock system. Again, interlock system with the bead retention pins is a little bit more forgiving on keeping your bead seat on the wheel, even at those lower PSIs. And even if you're asking, well, does the Icon Rebound Pro have the interlock system on the back side of the wheel? It does not. Reason being is because in almost every situation you run into when you're out on the trails, the pressure is put on the outside of the wheel or outside of the tire itself, and not so much ever on the inside. Now there has been obviously situations where extreme pressures have been put on the tire itself all the way around, and you might burp some air out of the back side of the wheel. But even so, you're still gonna have this bead retention system here. So very unlikely chance, even at low PSIs, that your bead seat is gonna come off the wheel here with those pins holding the tire bead onto the bead seat. So again, just to recap, advantages: bead grip, 15% stronger than without it on a conventional wheel. Interlock system with the Rebound Pro has the pins, 16 of them to be exact, to hold that bead, that tire bead, onto the bead seat, keep it from sliding off of there at all. And again, obviously a little easier on the pocketbook compared to the beadlock wheels. So hopefully that eliminates the question of, do I really need beadlock wheels? So if you guys do have any questions whatsoever on either one of these wheels, whether it's beadlock, bead grip, or the interlock system, definitely let us know in the comments below. Or even if you guys are running any one of these types of wheels, whether it's the bead grip or the interlock system by Icon Alloys, definitely let us know in the comments below. And guys, to find any one of these types of wheels on our website, it's TrailBuilt Offroad, or even easier, we'll have a link that goes right to them in the description below. And guys, as always, we appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from TrailBuilt, and we'll see you guys out on the trails.